What an absolute fucking mess of a film this was. What is up, guys? Welcome to Boomer Base. Today we're here for another After Cinema Reviews, and today we're here to do a review of director Moritz Moore's first film called Boy Kills World, featuring quite a sort of stellar cast. I will say we have actors such as Bill Skarsgård, who's our main lead. We have Jessica Rothe in there. We have Famke Janssen. You know, there is also Yayan Ruhian from The Raid. Like quite a stacked cast, to be fair, all with their own merits within the film. But without further ado, let's get cracking. Now, this film won't be any form of critically acclaimed film or anything like that. You know, I don't think it's going to win any awards at all, if I'm honest. But if you are a fan of The Hunger Games, of John Wick, or The Purge, I think this will be a film for you, especially if you like a darker version of The Hunger Games, such as Battle Royale. Now, Battle Royale was one of my favourite, underappreciated, sort of overlooked films. It's a hidden gem in its own, but this film basically encapsulates The Purge. We'll go with Battle Royale, and we'll go with John Wick. It's basically just high-octane action, gory killing, fucked up killing, and just full of surprises all throughout. Going into this film, I decided to not watch the trailer. I was merely just browsing my sort of Odeon app to look for a film to watch. I just then suddenly saw this, didn't even know what it was about at all, hadn't watched a trailer, didn't even know who was in it. I just saw a kind of thing called Boy Kills World, saw Bill Skarsgård on the front, and just thought, fuck it, we'll go watch it. I have to tell you, I was quite surprised. Now, this film doesn't have an amazing narrative, although about 75 to 80% of the way through the film there is a reveal that blew my mind. It wasn't something that I was expecting at all, or even, I didn't even think going through. I just thought the story was doing what it was doing, and then suddenly part of the main character's story just kind of flipped on its head and changed completely, and that honestly had me blew away in my seat. And to be fair, a few other people in the cinema sort of gasped or started whispering at this sort of reveal, so very cool, and I thought it was a nice sort of tinker to what we were watching. Basically, the film is, it's a bit like The Purge, essentially. That once a year there is a sort of culling for a lady called Hilda van der Kooi, who's played by Famke Janssen, who we all know as, from the film Taken as the mum, and from X-Men as Jean Grey. And she basically was this, sort of almost like freedom fighter type of sort of martyr type of weird thing. And she basically, her family now govern everything and have taken over. And they have a culling once a year, which the sort of populace likes, and all the rich people, are like, yay for the culling, that type of Purge bullshit. And essentially she's gone into hiding, and some stuff happened with Bill Skarsgård's family. He then started training with the shaman, who's played by Yayan Ruhian, who is in the Raid films. He plays the villain in the Raid. Very, very cool martial artist. And essentially he trains him to become this sort of assassin, to kill her, this, that, and the other. And essentially Bill Skarsgård's character is played by Cameron Crovetti and Nicholas Crovetti. So, the Homelander's kid. Although I had no idea that they were twins. So, but yeah, the film itself is just, he trains to be like an assassin. We see some of the sort of dark side of the world. We see the Van der Kooi family being kind of shitty, all this type of stuff. And then it just sort of, a cinch point happens, and he just goes off, and he's like, right, that's it, I'm killing Hilda van der Kooi on the day of the culling and things. And it just basically starts becoming very explosive. He goes into sort of a factory bit and starts killing people, and that's when we meet one of the other main characters, Benny, played by Isaiah Mustafa. Isaiah Mustafa's character Benny, although at the beginning I did find a little bit annoying, although there was some comedic elements to it. As the film went on with him, I found him much more enjoyable and copable to watch on the screen, which was nice. And then pretty much from that, it's just a full sort of John Wick film of constant action with odd bits of comedy thrown in and just random bits. Now, an interesting point is Bill Skarsgård's character doesn't speak at all. He is just known as Boy until we find out who he is later on. And pretty much the entire film is narrated by Harry John Benjamin, also known as the voice of Bob from Bob's Burgers and Archer in the Archer TV show, which was quite cool. And I did like that. It was like very nuanced. It was something different, you know. The film was pretty much narrated through the eyes of Bill Skarsgård's character, other than when other characters obviously spoke and interacted. The boy, or Bill's character, was deaf and mute. He couldn't really speak. His ears were burned by the shaman for hearing, and then his tongue was ripped out / cut off, so he couldn't really speak either. So it was all kind of in his mind what we were sort of hearing and understanding. And he had a sister called Mina, who essentially she died, and it's kind of getting revenge for her as he loved his sister. There's a lot of things about, you know, hanging together, you know, not being afraid, going to their special place, things like that, you know. So it was kind of like a revenge type of film. And then as we just go through the film, we get to meet more of the Van der Koys. Gideon Van der Koy, played by Brett Gelman, you know, the what's his face from the Stranger Things. I'll put a picture up, but you know, always very happy to see him or this actor in anything, because I always just find him funny. He's always got this sort of like, oh, fuck's sake type of attitude, and he's just pleasing to watch for me. We get to see Melanie Van der Koy, played by Michelle Dockery. Not someone I've really seen in much at all before, but fine. She played the sort of like wants everything right character, has to have everything right, and when it doesn't, has a bit of a meltdown. When Bill Skarsgård's character goes to the sort of prison-esque camp, if you like, and I got it wrong, he doesn't free Benny, he frees Basho, and that's what I meant. Basho's character was quite irritating at the beginning, and then he becomes more likable as it goes on, and then he's part of this sort of freedom fighter, you know, rise resistance sort of thing, and that's where we meet Benny, who is an enjoyable character, but for some reason Bill Skarsgård's character can't read his lips, so every time Benny's talking, he essentially is like saying the wrong words, which everyone in the cinema found very funny and enjoyable, and it's a bit I did enjoy, because it was just like gibberish gobbledygook, and it was putting scenarios in Bill's head that just didn't make any sense, but was visually shown on screen, which was good comedy for me. I enjoyed that a lot. And then the only other last Van der Koy we hadn't met was when we first met Basho, was Glenn, who was basically Melanie's like partner, who had been kind of like, you know, coyed to being this sort of face of the people, and his character sucked, and you know, he had a pretty funny death, I will say, from Basho due to sweaty hands, but all the while still quite funny. But overall, the plot twist, if you don't want to know the plot twist, spoiler warning now, so I'll give you enough time, I'm going to talk about that. Essentially, Bill Skarsgård's character, Boy, was essentially, he didn't have this mum that had been killed and sister that had been killed. Essentially, the shaman was the one whose family got killed, and he basically, you know, corrupted Bill Skarsgård's character, who was a Van der Koy. His sister was still alive. His sister was June 27, who was a sort of other villain in the film that he fought with a couple times and interacted with. Just this badass killing woman, played by Jessica Roth, who, you know, I've only really seen in Happy Death Day, but I think it was supposed to be Samantha Weaving, but I think she had to leave during filming or something. But no, the reveal was very cool, and then to find out that his sister was still alive, also very cool. And then they went on some sort of badass killing spree. You know, they binned in the mum, they wanted to get away and go to their special place. They then had to fight the shaman, and the shaman fight was just fucking ruthless. Holy fuck. It was just top to bottom, just high octane. Very, very enjoyable to watch. If you enjoy some of the action in this, I would very much recommend you watch films like Raid and Raid 2. Very, very good, and definitely better than John Wick. No word of a lie. Just John Wick's like that bottom tier. Raid is that top tier good stuff if you like that type of high octane action film with badass martial arts, things like that. Pretty much Shaman's defeated, and boom, we got our story. They kind of go off. I have no idea if either of them get to live or anything like that. It just kind of like abruptly ends, which was a bit irritating, but I'm just not a fan of super abrupt endings, especially if there's going to be no continuation at all. But overall, like a good, like solid 7 to 7.5, I think, for me. Like, the story was nothing special. It was just, you know, I went to watch it, I had fun, and I think that's the important thing. It was fun. It was cool fighting, cool martial arts, some good comedy as well, and visually didn't look too terrible. Like, there were some bits where just it, you know, didn't look amazing, or some of the weird spins or martial arts aspects didn't look too good, but hey, you know, they're only small snippets, and, you know, I'm basically picking apart stuff, but I can't put the film too much higher. But overall, I definitely think it's something that you should give and watch. Let me know in the comments below if you've seen this film, if you enjoyed it. Drop a like as well. I greatly appreciate that. I'm gearing towards 400 subscribers, so very excited for that. But thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and tune in to the next video of After Cinema Reviews. Take care now. Bye-bye. Hey, thank you for watching the video. Click the button to keep watching, or click the other video for more videos, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.